we mixed it up a little bit. So guys got to work against different groups, and I thought our first group came out and moved the ball, had some big plays. Second group didn't quite respond as well, going against Christian and those guys. So definitely some opportunity to coach those guys up, challenge them. But overall, we had a couple turnovers just on some miscommunication. Young guys, things that you can clean up. But overall, the effort's good. They're competing. But we just got to get that second group to step up a little bit when they get their chance first and once.
Quarterbacks starting to separate themselves at all?
Man, I tell you what, all of them are throwing the ball good. And for me, being up in the box, you don't even worry about which one is in there because they're all making the throws. And they're giving our guys opportunities on the deep balls. We've made, some guys like T and Justin have made some plays. Trying to get DK. DK had an opportunity here. Ball was where it needed to be. Didn't come down with the play on third down, but right now they're all competing, and it's hard to see separation.
We've been talking about the tempo since the spring. Have you been pleased with that, these first few scrimmages, and is that something that could be noticeably different this season?
Yeah, the second scrimmage was more situational, so not as much of the work on tempo, but today we were able to move around, play fast, get some 2-minute work to help further drive the tempo. So far I've been pleased, but we won't know until we get into the game, in a wide open situation where we can actually play the tempo.
Running backs. Talk about the running back pecking order and how has the carryover from last Saturday's scrimmage this week as far as Lynn J. Mason goes.
Lynn J. with the ball, he's a lot like Travis was last camp, man. With the ball in his hands, he just finds a way to make a play. He's a relentless runner, runs a lot bigger than his size. He's hard to tackle. He just continues to make plays. So a lot of carryover. So every time he's out there, but still room for improvement in pass protection, which is going to be expected. He's a physical kid. He doesn't mind throwing it up in there, but from a knowledge standpoint, you're talking about going from a high school level playing 1A football to now you're out here going against Coach V and all the things that he does defensively is really challenging him. But with the ball in his hands, he's playing fast, making plays. Adam has put together two really good scrimmages back to back, making plays both in the pass game and the running game. Travis is Travis. He finds his spot to make plays and been pleased with Taven. Taven is moving a little bit better, a little bit quicker, just coming off that knee and he's making plays. So really got a lot of competition. But Lynn J is the guy right now that when he touches the ball, he seems to be most electric.
Coach Sweeney was talking about how Adam has really differentiated himself physically. He's someone you can see as kind of a short yard specialist, perhaps, obviously contributing in other plays as well.
All of those guys, got to be able to function in every situation. I guess he has beefed up his body. He's about 220 to 225 pounds, depending upon the after practice weight. But he's playing fast, he's playing physical, and obviously, as we get into the season, we'll have different roles for those guys. We're trying to challenge the ball to play in every situation, and not only is he playing, physical and running the ball tough, but he's making plays out of the backfield and solid in pass protection. So Adam's having a good game.
Talk about Adam making some plays in the passing game. Is that something that you could envision seeing more of this season with backs, not just Adam, but all the backs making more plays?
We always want to try and include those guys, and it's going to be dependent upon the game plan and what they give us. But we got to have the ability to get those guys the balls in space and give them an opportunity. But we've been pleased so far with some of the things we've done with those guys thus far.
Going back to Lynn J, you're saying he's the most explosive or the most electric with the ball in his hands. What did you expect to see from him coming in, and how has he, met or surpassed those expectations?
Always knew that he was a dynamic guy. I think I even drew comparisons to Andre Ellington. We know how special of a player Andre Ellington was with the ball in his hands. So my expectation he was going to come in and make some plays. Where he's exceeding my expectation is how well he's picked things up. The first couple of days he was making plays, didn't know what he was doing, kind of like Travis. We're going left, he's running right, he makes somebody miss. It's a big player, but he goes wild because he's not playing within the structure of the system. But now you're starting to see him understand, a little more patience, and he's still finding ways to make big plays. So that's why I'm pleased. And he's a tough young man. He'll stick it up in there, throw his body in there. But he's about where I thought he would be from a pass protection standpoint. And you're changing structures on him, and the blitz is coming from both sides of the field, from both levels, the second level, the third level. It's tough on him.
I don't want to get into the business of comparing him to guys that have come through here, but usually what is the learning curve for freshman running backs coming in, going through their first fall camp?
It's tough. It's tough because it starts from day one. It's the day and age of teams just sitting still, not moving, letting you line up and letting you identify. That doesn't happen. So you got to build an understanding of front recognition. Then from the front determines your linebacker recognition, then on to your secondary recognition, and all of that stuff is changing constantly with the communication with the offensive line. So it usually takes those guys at least a good solid year to understand, because once we get into the schedule, each week you're going to have another different protection plan because not everybody runs the same variations of fronts, coverages, and blitzes. And so each week something is changing on it. So it usually takes them about a year to get good, understand it, and then they still got to learn to run game too. So and what I love about our practice field is we're challenged so much. Whereas it may be a year and a half, 2 years on some other practice fields, but because we see everything, you're at least exposing those guys to the variation of what we see throughout the process.
How is Travis progressing in that area?
Travis is you're seeing that he's trying to use a lot more technique in his pass protection. His knowledge obviously is much improved. There's things that I'm starting to see. I can tell when I look at him. I see his head movement, so I can tell now that okay, it's making sense to him. As soon as his head's moving side to side, and it's in correlation to what the offensive line and the quarterback's telling him, that's when you know a back is starting to become comfortable. When a back's just sitting there and his eyes are straight ahead and his head's not moving, then he probably doesn't know what's going on. And that's where you see, like especially with Adam, that's where he has the advantage. He's been here for 4 years, 5th year now, and you'll see him point and move side to side, asking the quarterback for things. And I'm starting to see a little bit of that, but it starts with the head and the recognition, and then he's always had the want to. He's always been physical enough, and now we just got to get to where he's not turning his head or using his shoulder, trying to use his hands, because again, nobody's just going to run down the middle of it. Guys are going to come down the middle sometimes. Sometimes they're going to attack half the man. They're going to do different things on you. So you got to be able to keep your face out of it at times. When you're blocking inside, you got to put your face in it. So he's got to be able to understand, the difference in when do I use my whole body and when do I, just use more technique on the perimeter.
When you're doing your self-study from year to year, how much do you use analytics to go for your decision making, from 2017 to 2018, 2019 year?
In terms of analytics, maybe outside analytics, not quite as much, but in terms of our own breakdowns of what we're doing, our own tendencies, our statistics, you use that a lot. You do a great deal of that because, again, that one identifies the area that you need to go look at. Obviously, for us, the starting point, and then from there you can start to pick out, okay, these are the tendencies, these are the issues. So the analytics kind of sends you in the direction, and then once you're there, you can dive in and see, okay, what is the fundamentals? Was it a fundamental issue? Was it a schematic issue? Was it a coaching issue? Or heck, did the defense just have a better call, in that situation? So I think analytics get you starting, but you still got to go back and trust your instincts and do your evaluation of the actual football piece of it before you make a decision.
Is there any one thing that you think will change significantly from 2017 to 2018?
In terms of analytics or the offense?
Or in terms of offense?
That's to be determined. And it's like that every year because again, teams are gonna determine how they play. You look at us in 2015. Wayne sets a record for single season rushing. Deshaun's over 1,000 yards. Because teams were gonna let us run the football, and the next thing you know, you come back the next year and they're gonna load the box up. They're not gonna let you run the football, right? So then now you got to throw the ball. So we'll see how teams are gonna play us, and then that's gonna develop the identity as we go through. But the core is gonna be the core, and that's where we're gonna start. And then each week we'll add the complementary things based off of what we see schematically from the defense, and then over the course of games, our identity will develop.
With 3 receivers, 6'4" or taller, is there a chance we might see more than one of those guys out there at the same time play volleyball, basically?
And that's discussion. You always want your best players, on the field. And obviously our system is built with different guys at different positions, but we've shown over the year the flexibility to, like you saw it in the South Carolina game. You had Deion in the boundary, you had T to the field. So obviously it really depends upon the development and the progression, because in order for those guys to get on the field, now they're playing another position. And that's a whole new set of responsibility, different coverage recognition, different responsibilities on the same play call, so to speak, as if they were in the boundary. So as those guys can develop, and if they become, the top 4 guys, then yeah, you'll see them out.
You're obviously going to have a distinct advantage, height advantage against virtually all your opponents. Yes, in the secondary.
Well, that's what you would hope. I just remember when we walked out versus Florida State, and McFadden was about 6'5". That corner into the boundary, and Derwin James was about 6'3". So we're going to play some teams that are going to have some height that can match us.
What throws has Kelly, we've heard he's improved, he's different from last year. What throws exactly have you seen him improve?
Just, the ball's down the field, giving those guys a chance and putting them where they need to be. He's hitting them over the shoulder, he's hitting them in stride. He's ripping balls, in the seams. I mean, the quick game's coming out on time and it's getting there, so just another year, another step forward. And those are the things that I'm seeing. Obviously, we know what he's capable of as a game manager. And again, he's not able to use his ability to run, so to speak, in live situations in practice. But you're seeing him in there, standing in the pocket, and he's firing the ball out there, making the field outcuts. Those type of throws.
How much is Chase